Hello, everyone. My name is Jorrel Santos, as always, joined by my co-founder, Mr. Timothy Karambat. How you doing, Tim?
I am doing okay. Just holidays are just, I don't know, they're just regular times for me. So, I mean,
always on the Sigma grind set, Sigma Ligma Figma grind set, dude.
Always. In fact, the only holiday thing I've done this entire season is literally your Christmas party. That's it.
I mean, hey, man.
That was the most festive I got this year. I'm just not a festive person. You know?
Yeah, see, we said that this would be the holiday special. This is episode 9 of the Mintplexity Podcast, but neither Tim nor I have festive gear on, so I'll just edit some like little Christmas hat on Tim's head post production.
I have a stocking somewhere.
Oh, stocking,
but I can't hang it though. I don't know where I put it. So
all right, I'll just edit it post product. Add
a snow filter or something.
Oh yeah, add some dust in the air or something, make it look like some snow. But anyways, yeah. So this is our holiday special, also end of year special as well. I'll post this before New Year's Day so that we can get one more episode in before 2023. But we have a couple of interesting topics we wanted to cover today, specifically about some really, really big, kind of monumental shifts in the Web3 landscape. One of them being one of the biggest projects on Solana.
The biggest.
Actually, the biggest project in Solana, the Gods, shifting into ETH in Q1. So we'll talk about that in the first part of our pod today. And then second is the ongoing Yuga Labs lawsuit with Ryder Rips, which has been going in a very interesting direction, especially in regards to a lot of the conversation around AI right now too. And so that is a whole other can of worms that would be interesting to talk about in this episode. But we'll stick with our favorite topic as always, the Solana stuff. So Tim,
oh God,
what happened? What's going on? What happened to our favorite?
Our favorite project on Solana. Yeah.
What happened, dude?
So it's Utes, right? Right. Like Utes is the project, like, DGods was first and then they made Utes and, now Utes being on Solana, because Solana boasts these crazy transaction, per second and all these other decentralization things, which like, the average consumer and the average, especially NFT holder, I do not think cares about decentralization. I think if people found out that Ethereum was literally one dude's MacBook Pro hooked up and turned on 24/7 in Vitalik's room, I think people would still use ETH. I really do. I don't think people would care that much. So big deal. Another huge W for Solana's BD team, because they're behind this. Not Solana's, Polygon's BD team. Literally stealing the largest projects, or one of the largest projects from Solana. That is, I think, going to have a huge impact. First off, I mean, you can just look on Twitter for the kind of like knee-jerk reaction response from that announcement. At first, when I sent it to you, I was like, is this like a joke? Like an end of year, like LOL? Like, did we miss something? Turns out it's not a joke. There's also confusion on what they're doing, because I still don't know. Are they bridging, or are they like locking up and giving you lock your token on Solana and then get the equivalent on Polygon, or are they like burning it? That's the thing. Like, nobody, at least at this time, is extremely clear on what mechanism they are doing, because like you can have it locked on Solana and have a representation essentially on Polygon, and the art still originally will live on Solana and it'll be duplicated essentially on Polygon. Or are they going to completely burn everything on Solana and migrate fully to Polygon? I don't know. I don't even think they know.
I mean, based on their statement, they said details of the bridge will be released when it's ready.
Bridge.
All they say is bridge. I mean, and that's ultimately like, I do feel like Frank, the guy who leads the DeGods project, I do feel like he is trying to, play the political game where he's like, hey, Solana, I'm giving you a lot of time to think about this. But that's the thing is like, he did that so often this year that like I mean, it's just obvious he's just trying to like, play around.
I mean, they've remained relevant. There are a lot of projects that probably saw just as much success as Utes secondary drop, the Utes drop, and have just completely gone silent. I mean, like Doodles, for example, right? Like where's like I will say one thing about the Solana kind of like Utes and like Dust Labs, stuff like that. They've remained relevant for pretty much their entire existence on Solana. Like since they stepped onto the stage, like they've been on the stage. And you can't say that for a lot of ETH projects. You honestly cannot say that for a lot of ETH projects.
Oh, there's a lot of ETH projects that have disappeared on face the earth.
Yeah, it just pieced out, faded into the ether. Like, I think a lot of the changes that have been coming with Solana, which I'm not, we're not running some, crazy, JPEG project. We just help JPEG projects get started. But just from looking at this, it seems like all of this could be smart business decision, but every single decision is at the expense of the holders. Like this is going to be very painful for the holders, which are the entire reason the community even exists. And I don't feel like it's acting in their best interest. Like you said, it might be like some political thing where at the top, it's like, oh, hey, are you going to make me really jump ship, or whatever, which he tried to address some of those things, like the whole, like asking Solana for $5 million or also bounce or something. Apparently, he tried to deny that. Who knows if it's true now because there's so much misinformation, but either way, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. All of that hurt the holders. That's the only person it really hurt is the holders of that project.
Yeah. And there's something to be said, I think, about just how unstable the space is in general, right? Like, like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, like they love to speculate about why he's doing certain things, but there is no playbook. Like I have to emphasize to like everyone who's just like, oh, hey, like I'm launching a project, like this is how I succeed. It's like there is no real playbook. Like Tim and I have seen every single thing possibly done in order to
under the sun,
like in order to mint out the project or like maintain longevity in their project. We've seen literally everything. Like we have thousands of projects that have come through our pipeline, and like people who are just like, oh, she's doing this play, doing that play. Oh, like no, like at the end of the day, right? Like there are two players that are the most important things in your project: the creator and your holders. All right. Yep. And if the creator is doing
things that matter.
Exactly. And if the creator is doing things in their best interest, it's likely probably not in the best interest of their holders. And if you're doing the things that are like in your best interest of your holders, sometimes it works out, but there's always some sort of like conflict.
It's a tug of war.
Yeah. Because like it always comes down to compromise. And like the fact of the matter is, it's like Frank is just like, no, like all y'all holders,
unilateral decisions. Yeah.
Like you Solana, like all y'all are Solana maxis, but I see like, I see the writing on the wall here. Shit's not going well. A lot of people are pulling out of Solana. I'm going to do what's best for me.
Yeah.
And my project, because that's how he views both Utes into gods. And he's like, and we're going to move it to ETH. Right. And too bad, so sad if you're a holder of this who says Solana maxi. Because like I'm trying to look out for the longevity, right?
You shouldn't be a maximalist for any chain. Like that's just a very, very narrow mindset to have. Like it just that will not that is not I'm trying to think a sustainable mindset to where there's like one chain that rules them all. That's just never going to be the case ever.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing is like he's running a business. Like the creator thinks about things on the business side much more than the holders do. Like we have a lot of NFT project founder friends. Like we see the background, and a lot of the times the community has no idea what's happening in the background of the business, and they commonly vote against the best interests of the business. That is the reason why you see so many of these projects disappear. It's not because like the founders are like, trying to rug or that the community hates everything. It's that there's a lot of asymmetrical information going around. Yeah. And it's exactly one of those cases. It's like
also context is super important. And that's really hard to convey from a business sense. And also like a lot of the people who are holding may be great community members, awesome community members, but that doesn't make them great for the longevity of the project. And likewise is where if you had a founder only running the project with no community, well, then that's not a community at all.
No,
right?
it's like, literally also one-sided business with like very little room to grow, honestly. Like, and that's the thing. The best businesses or the best NFT projects are the ones that can balance those two things and constantly compromise. Right. But that's the thing is like a lot of these start with one or the other really strong and never find that middle ground. And this is what's happening is like, you're seeing a lot of backlash from his own community because it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're not communicating any of these things. You're just dropping. Yeah. He's just dropping these.
They know deep down that their community are Solana maximalists, right? So even if Solana goes to zero, they are there. And like to kind of pull this move to kind of like quote unquote save the project, I think ultimately you wind up just pissing off a lot of the community. To me, and like obviously it's easy to sit here on an armchair, like, and do like be armchair expert on this project, but like it just seems to me that like doing something like this just shows a kind of like tone deafness to the actual people that hold the project, who are Solana maximalists. I mean, literally go into any comment thread about DeGods or Utes, and it is just people like just going so hard about how Solana is just literally going to be the biggest thing ever. Like, forget about it. Like every other chain is lying to you, blah, blah, blah. Like these people are Solana maximalists. Whether you call them Kool-Aid drinkers or not, that is their mentality. And to tell them like, oh, hey, cool mentality, anywhere we're swapping to Polygon, you're just going to piss those people off. And those people are the loudest. Yeah. The people who are reasonable aren't going to comment. The people who are unreasonable are the ones who are going to comment, and they are going to push the sentiment.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's like so important to have that communication, right? That constant communication, because there seems to be a lot of misalignment. And I will say like one of the strongest communities out there, and I think that has the strongest community and like, creator alignment has got to be like Azuki. Like we haven't heard a peep from them, but their community is still so strong. Their Discord is very active, and like they're not trying to be like a Doodles. They're not trying to be like the other projects out there.
They have an identity.
And they stick to it. Like they're not over promising anything. Like that's the reason you don't see as much activity on Twitter. That doesn't mean they've died. That just means their holders are very happy about what's going on, and they're well.
Their communications are internal, not on Twitter. Yeah. The only time you start seeing stuff about projects blowing up on Twitter a lot is when their Discord has fallen into disarray and there's so much noise, and they want to try to like promote some, FUD or even factual information that might be negative. Like that's when people go to Twitter. Otherwise, they're just sitting in Discord, just talking to each other. Like that's literally what an NFT project looks like in 2022.
And that's also supposed to be what a community looks like. Is you don't air out your laundry. You don't air out your dirty laundry. You're literally communicating. And once again, the only time that like you get outside social media stuff is like when you're trying to pressure or change something toxic. Like like I said, the moment that you're doing that, you're trying to show everyone that you have dirty laundry, right? You're trying to say, hey, come in, we need help. Like shit's bad. That's why you see a lot of that stuff. Haven't heard a peep from some of the biggest blue chip projects, and yet they're still keeping a high floor. Why is that? That's all you gotta. That's all you gotta say. Like, look.
I think honestly, just to close off that point, just look at something like Pudgy Penguins that went through having a pretty toxic founder who was actively trying to torpedo the entire project. And the community actually just kicked them out of their own project, pretty much established a new hierarchy and leadership, and then revived the entire project. I think they're at like a 7 ETH floor now. They're doing way better than some of the more established projects in the space. Like, and that was because the community actually came together. You don't see any BS on Twitter about them, except about how their floor is crazy high right now. It's because all of those people are talking to each other, being a functional community wherever it is that they talk. Just happens to be Discord. But so but that's like that's kind of like I think the important thing we're trying to like showcase here is that like Solana, there's a reason it's on single digits now. Like there's not a lot of really healthy projects going on because it's lacking on the community aspect a lot of the time on the community aspect. And that might be because integrations are hard to build.
I mean, look, and so, but that's something to like look out for because they're doing all of this changes in Q1, right? So Q1 of 2023, we're going to start seeing a lot of these kind of transformations from the Solana space, as people are trying to, actually start building, reviving their communities from Solana, especially just because of, everything going on, in that area of things, especially because of the FTX stuff too. Like we're still seeing so much of the, liquidation happening because of FTX, that we really don't know what the bottom looks like for stuff happening within the Solana space.
Absolutely.
And we're not flooding, guys. Like this is all public information you can see all happening in real time. But it's just like something we wanted to mention to y'all listeners. Like, this is not good. Like, nothing against the team over there. It's just that like you gotta focus on where the builders are. And now a lot of projects are moving to where the builders are, because that's where all the really interesting stuff can be actually.
Oh, so a lot of people are going to be so mad about that. They say there's so many builders all the time building, but I don't see anything ever shipped. So I don't know what's going on.
Dude, the amount of founder friends that we have that have like shifted completely away from Solana, not because of anything to do with the protocol, but just everything to do with just, once again,
people's perception. It's perception.
But also the package is not being updated. Okay. I'm going to keep saying that. If you don't have documentation or packages that are updated so people can actually build on your stuff without spending a stupid amount of hours,
amount of dev time. Yeah.
Like, then you're not going to see, you're not going to see the flywheel. Right. So it doesn't matter how many TPS you get if nobody can fucking build on it. If I can't build a tool, then like, what's the point of all those, all that transaction power, right? So, but anyway, speaking of like big blue chip projects that are having really interesting issues right now, Yuga Labs, the lawsuit with Ryder Rips is getting really weird. Because
it's gone a direction that you really would not have expected. Like, I know, like sometimes when lawsuits are presented, they'll often take some weird argument to like be like, aha, like we'll get you on this point. This has gone a direction I did not expect at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, so I don't know how to. Let's just start with like what's going on. So basically, if y'all don't know, Ryder Rips, he's this artist who was like, haha, like fuck you, Bored Ape guys. I'm gonna make a collection identical to Bored Apes, and it'll point to the same stuff and yada yada yada. And so what he did is he like ripped all their stuff and then generated a new collection, and that minted out and whatever. And basically Yuga was like, hey, that's my trademark. You can't do that. That's you're violating copyright. And then Ryder's like, no, because no human were like generated all 10,000 of those pieces of images. Like that was done by a computer. And because it was done by a computer and it wasn't like any original, user, it's not protected by copyright. It's not trademarked.
There was not significant contribution to the end result of each generation. Which you could say, oh, well, who drew those assets? Well, I mean, think about it. Like there's probably a pool of, if you counted all like assets available, there's probably something like 300, 500 independent assets that are all, randomly arranged. I mean, like that isn't significant human contribution, honestly, because it's quite easy to do a lot of, because let me explain like why you would think like, oh, 300, 500 pieces of individual art. Like that sounds like a lot. So again, we've launched thousands of projects. We actually specifically cater to generative projects. So we know exactly how they function. And we also partner with other people in the space that specifically do the generative aspect. So you may be thinking like, oh man, like, let's just take base layer, like of the base monkey, right? Like no features on it, just like hair color, right? Let's look at that feature layer. There could be 20 independent assets that have varying degrees of weight to them. Weight meaning how often they'll occur. Okay. Typically, the way that generative arts functions is you would actually draw one independent kind of like uncolored asset, and then each of those 20 would just be filled with a different color. So the actual line art is actually very easily done. It's drawn once, and then you actually just replace the colors, maybe add like, a sparkle or some weird distinctive artifact on one of the 20 layers. Like basically when we say 300 to 500 independent pieces of like art, like JPEGs that will get shuffled or PNGs that will get shuffled together, realistically, you're looking at maybe 20 pieces of original hand-drawn art that then is assembled randomly by a computer that basically is just like doing math to be like, how often should a trait occur? That's how generative art works. Most people don't realize that. They think it's 10,000 pieces of hand-drawn art. And for the most part, I can't even actually think of an instance in which that's been true, because it would take a year to draw all that art. Most times people draw a number of assets, the line art being original, but the theme changing per attribute. And then they just shuffle them together. And that's it. It's, I won't say it's not a lot of work, because some people put a lot more care into it than others. That's definitely true.
100%.
Yeah. But for the most part, though, like you could go and make a 10K generative collection from a handful of probably 30 layers. You could get that knocked out very, very easily. It'd take you. There's actually an open source tool that everybody's been using called Hashlips that can do this and does it for free. You can also do it in your browser for free through something like NFTinator that we have on our site as a link. It's not hard to do. So kind of interesting that the lawsuit went that direction.
Yeah, I mean, like the specific like defense that Ryder is, positing is that basic images are not entitled to copyright protection due to having been generated by an automated computer algorithm where no humans were involved in determining which of the 10,000 basic images were selected. Because of the randomization, those who listen to this podcast, that like the whole kind of flow of NFT projects is like pre-reveal and unveiling the images, right? If it's random and both the user, like the creator, doesn't know what the images are generated, then you can't really say that it's original. You can't just after the fact, that's trademark, because in Yuga Labs whole terms of service, the moment you own that NFT, you technically also own its intellectual property rights.
Right. Which there might not be any, because if this winds up going the way of basically Yuga cannot continue with this suit because it turns out they can't copyright it, that also means that they also can't lease IP to the holder either, because it's all uncopyrightable. So anybody could just copy it.
Because it's a weird fucking logic, because it's like, you have to think too, right? It's like, okay, I copyright something after I've given the rights away. It's like, how does that work? Like, it's like, okay, it's like I'm like, I close my eyes, Tim, and I'm like, I'm going to draw this fucking piece of thing. I don't know what it looks like, but because I drew it with my hand and I give you the rights to it, only after I open my eyes do I know that this is mine. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's honestly, so weird. It's just such a weird thing.
This is when we need someone like ex-lawyer to chime in on this. I would love to get their opinion on this, because this is just messy. It's just messy. And I wonder what the follow-on implications would be, because if this happens with Yuga, I mean, no other project in the space has a prayer of being able to defend their copyright, which something think about it, Artifact, right? Like they were acquired by Nike and they have CloneX under their brand.
Yeah.
If that winds up being an issue, I mean, Nike's got much bigger pockets than Yuga does, especially when it comes to lawyers. But
yeah, especially IP rights. Yeah.
Oh, especially IP rights, man. They're like Disney on that. Does that mean that CloneX also is non-copyrightable? And people who have built up entire identities around their assets, does that mean that they're also non-defensible? I don't know. I don't know. We're not lawyers. I never went to law school, but I did watch Suits for 2 seasons. So
I mean, that's almost the same thing, right? Like according to the internet.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. Yeah. So this whole podcast has just been us being armchair experts, but it's okay. Like you could be wrong on the internet, and apparently that makes you popular. So.
Oh no, we see people wrong on the internet all the time. They have as long as you hit that 1 million follower threshold, everything you say is right. So.
Exactly. Yeah. It's talking about copyright. Oh no, I copyrighted that. I didn't even have to go through the legal process. I have 1 million followers.
Yeah, I have 1 million followers.
Yeah.
So it's. Well, we only got 100 subs, so we got a 1,000x that at some point or something. So
but
it's interesting. Happens. Yeah, we have. I don't know. There's a lot. We've talked on this podcast a lot about regulation and stuff like that, and how things in the Web3 space will eventually kind of, have to be addressed by the SEC. And it's just, Yuga's not really helping because, you're fighting two fronts. You're fighting, hey, is this a fucking security? And then you're also fighting, hey, did I violate the provenance? Did I violate the artistic capabilities of the people who create our stuff? We don't know, and it doesn't help too that the AI boom's happening and everybody's using stuff like Stable Diffusion, DaVinci, and
or DALL-E,
or Midjourney,
or
Midjourney, and like
I forget. Yeah, I mean, and like Dream Booth and stuff like that. Like, dude, there's so like, what does that also mean for every single generative AI project, which we have had multiple, more than a handful, that's for sure, of people with just purely generative art that like each piece I would say is unique. I don't think they're doing like a layered templating kind of theming thing on these. They are unique, but there wasn't significant human contribution to generating those images. Of course, there was in deriving those images because they were trained on art that was made by people, but the person just typed in a prompt and got the answer. That's not significant human contribution. I'm not so, and who owns that image? OpenAI can be like, oh yeah, no, you own the rights to the images that you generate from your prompt. But
is that defensible?
Is that defensible? Yeah. If that winds up going to a court of law and they're like, oh, how'd you get this? And it was like, oh, generative AI. And then they're like, oh, well, then you can't own it, period. Like whatever that ruling is going to be, I feel like is going to have very interesting application, or follow-on effects. Like, all those people doing like stock photo AI generation and stuff like that, all of the avatars that are being generated, like none of that stuff can be copyrightable, which I don't know. Does something being copyrightable, does that actually mean something to somebody? I don't know.
That's a whole can of worms I don't want to open up on a podcast. Cause I mean, that's been, we've talked about this in, I think episode 4 or something like that with, when the whole royalties debate was going on, and still is going on, by the way. It hasn't stopped. The whole OpenSea registry, all that stuff, like that all came about from, the conversation of, do artists deserve royalties? Do artists deserve their creator fees? Right.
Right.
Which is once again, a subset of the conversation about, hey, there is this whole thing called do artists deserve their paid dues?
Their copyright.
They deserve their copyright, right? Because that was the point of provenance. Was like, hey, this is this person's like art, so they should be credited per sale because you are literally increasing the value of their artwork, but none of it is being seen by that artist, right? So
right.
It's just like it's a lot. And like, I don't think we're ever going to be able to not on our podcast come to a conclusion. And even with X-Lawyer, he goes back and forth all the time. Shout out to X-Lawyer, like love his threads. He does so much for the community, but I mean, it's a really hard conversation. It's like,
I mean, the only people who don't have to worry about this are the people who have from day one making one-of-one art and putting that on like Super Rare Foundation or whatever. Those people don't have to worry about that because they can prove, oh no, like I have the original sketch on like Procreate or on Photoshop, or I have it like, drawn on Canvas.
Yeah,
or
they literally
like that.
did it on Twitch. Like you saw them making their artwork on Twitch, like
right. Those people don't have to worry. But it's really, really hard to build. Like there has not been, and I don't think there can be, honestly, something at the scale of Yuga Labs done by a one-of-one artist. I mean, we're talking someone who would have to be like Banksy level of like essentially like social attribution, right? Like, and I mean, Banksy's essentially pseudonymous, right? But like you can think of what is his name? Tyler Hobbs, I think, with the Fidenzas, I believe it was, or something like that. I forget, but like that person is a independent one-of-one artist. Their full-time job is an artist. But they also made a generative art project that is its entire actual value is from an algorithm, not a proprietary one at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's QQL too, like that project, like same stuff. None of that stuff may be copyrightable. Which, again, do people care? Maybe maybe the artist only cares about the royalties. They don't care about the copywriting. But I definitely think there's people who are trying to license or brand their NFTs and stuff like that, I think those people care the most. But, we'll just see what the courts have to say.
I mean, dude, there was that whole thing where they were trying to make like a whole TV show with like the mutant apes and whatever. Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
So like this has all like anything that that the court of law says regarding that directly affects productions that are like already being created. Like, that one food truck that I sent you guys and I was like on my walk at Berkeley, like they literally made their entire food truck brand like they're Bored Ape, know? And
there's also that burger spot in LA somewhere. I forget where. Yeah.
I don't remember, but like, I just like, once again, like all of them are literally hinging on the fact that this lawsuit goes well, because otherwise they have no rights to their stuff. And if they don't have any rights and they're not legally able to technically like own their thing because the state doesn't recognize it, then copyright goes out the window and royalties go out the window. And now we talk about securitization. And now if we're talking about securitization, that means every one of these people who own that NFT has to view it like a business. And you have to register with the state, which is, once again, a whole other can of worms that I would just fucking hate to talk about. You know what I mean? It just sucks. It sucks for everyone, But that's really like, that's the whole kind of, that's the whole deal I think that's happening right now.
We'll see how it shakes out. That's all we can say. 2023, let's see. Let's see what shakes out.
Dude, like depending on how 2023 goes, like, I mean, we're gonna see a fallout like no other. But I think it's gonna be before they even touch Web3 or NFT stuff, they're gonna go through crypto first, which is what we're seeing. Especially like with FTX, like SEC has way more focus on like trying to figure out what the hell they're gonna do with all the crypto stuff. That I don't think they're gonna touch NFTs for another year or two. But that doesn't mean it's not coming.
Around to it. Yeah, they'll get around to it. That's for sure. Yeah.
Like, just think of the BitConnect guys. I said this last time. I said this on our last podcast. Like the BitConnect guys, it took them 4 years. But the SEC, they took the sweet ass time. They're like, all right. Yeah. Right before they fucking know it. Yeah. Aha, 125 years in prison, bitches. Like, I mean, god damn, dude. That like,
oh god.
So like, that's why you got to be vigilant. Be careful. Like, don't do anything wrong. Because
or if you're gonna do something wrong, go so big that you'll go to white collar prison, get out in 7 years, and you can make a movie and kind of live like Jordan Belfort does.
Exactly. So you gotta go big or go home. Don't do the small little stuff. Because if you do that, the SEC and
if you're gonna scam $1 million, just scam 10 billion. Like, it's just ramp it up. Just ramp it up. The
DOJ will go after you if you go anything less than $1 billion. All right. All right. If you go anything less, they're going to be like, all right, we're going to slap all the other crimes on this guy. He's the scapegoat. This guy gets 1,000 years in prison. And it's just like, what the fuck? But that's how they treat financial crimes here. Why? Because it affects a lot of people at once. And they love to crack down on that stuff. It's the lowest hanging fruit.
Good PR.
It's great PR. Oh yeah, dude. DOJ, literally, I implore all of you, just type BitConnect and you'll see the moment you're going to see DOJ. It's not even on any other like news site. Literally, Department of Justice has it plastered. Like, we caught these fuckers. Like, we caught them. $3.6 billion scam. We caught them, right? Like, you don't want to be one of those guys. Like,
you don't want to be that. Just, stick to your JPEGs, I guess. Don't try to monetize them because we don't know if it's copyrightable. So.
Yeah, like I said, make your stuff original, like go through the motions. Don't things are getting really testy out in the waters here. Okay. So once again, we're gonna repeat this every single podcast. No staking. We're never gonna stake. All right.
No staking will ever occur. I can promise you. Mostly because I don't want to go to jail, even though rent would probably be cheaper in jail. I don't want to go to jail. So.
Oh yeah. So that is a little minor little thing. Anyways, with that, we'll leave that to y'all to mull over. We're going to keep an eye out for this lawsuit as it continues. But just know a lot of like really big movements are happening in the space right now. We're seeing on our end a lot more people are actually exploring the other chains. So we had like a few people from check out the AVAX subchains and whatnot. So we are starting to see a lot more
stuff.
Oh yeah. And also we have changed our business model. So quick little announcement for y'all. We have moved to subscriptions finally. It's a little different than the traditional SaaS subscription because you basically load up this NFT with time and you get to use our tools, which is
feels like a subscription, but isn't automatic. So you buy as much time as you want when you upgrade to Pro, and then we'll send you a reminder before it expires so you can re-up it. And if you don't, we just basically get rid of all the Pro stuff that you had access to. That's it. So your project still remains online. Don't think that we're like deleting your project off OpenSea. That's not what happens. You literally like just don't get access to like insights anymore, or like your website hosting, your website minting page will get removed. But that's it. But your mint is still live. Your project's still there. Everything's on OpenSea.
The base Mintplex product is still there. It's always been the same.
Always free.
Always free. The only thing we will say is that the things that cost us money is what we're charging. Okay. Like a lot of the stuff, like all the other things that are offloaded to the blockchain, we purposely made free just for y'all. But we do have another product that's coming out in Q1. It's the metadata manager, because y'all are annoying and keep asking us about the same metadata questions. For the ones that aren't annoying, we love you. For the ones that are, go fuck yourselves. We're building this product for you. All right. We're building this product for you.
We know the metadata stuff is hard. We know it is. We just have the fortunate, I guess, or unfortunate experience of having made thousands of people's metadata at this point that we can do it so quickly. But we can understand that it's not approachable at all. So straight up, it's not approachable. And it's very complicated. And if you mess up even one tiny detail, your project will just not even render on OpenSea. The tool that we're having will fix that. If you make a typo, no more going into the file, making sure you don't mess it up or leaving a stray comma or what. No, none of that anymore. You just can go in, edit it, add an attribute, remove an attribute. Doesn't matter. It'll pop up on OpenSea when your project is minting and live. You can edit it at any time. And of course, it is decentralized. If you want to freeze it, you freeze it. We put it on IPFS for you and it is handled. And that's it.
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is for y'all to be able to do all the dynamic stuff, all the renewable stuff. If you don't want it, using the redemption functions we have or whatnot, seamlessly. All right. So y'all
seamless.
Yeah, it'll be seamless, and y'all can just stop bothering us because we know you want your private NFTs or whatever the hell.
We know you want it. We're building it. It's okay. Also, I will say, I don't know why, but can y'all when people ask us questions, and this is just for people who are maybe like consumers or customers of Mintplex, when you ask us a question on Intercom, I just have two requests. One is please remember that we are human beings, and we also while we are here to help you, we are not your personal programming team. And I feel like sometimes we get some requests that are really out of pocket and just frankly rude. And we don't want to respond to people like that, and we intentionally won't. So please treat us like human beings. We give y'all respect. Give us some respect back, please. Okay. We know you're pseudonymous or whatever. It's fine. But we're actually trying to help you as much as that, we understand your project's important, but please give us some time. The other thing is we know the chat bubble pops up and says hey, don't just reply hi, please reply with the question you have, and so that way we can just answer you right away. Those are the only two requests that I have. Please literally be nice, which is kind of just a general rule in life. And the other one is don't ask to ask, just ask. It's not rude to just ask your question. That's what the chat bubble's there for. It's not for us to exchange niceties and then eventually get to your question. Just ask a question. It's fine. We're here to help. We want to help. But that's just something I noticed. I don't know what's been going on in the last month or so. I feel like there's just been a group of people who just are being so rude. Oh no, we still help them, but that's normal. I drag my feet on it. Because I don't want to deal with a person who's just going to, yell at me the entire time. It's bro, it's not even my fault.
Well, I mean, it's not only not your fault. It's also we're under we're not in retail. All right, we're not
the customer's not always right here.
Well, not even just that. It's for us, you getting your us, all y'all listeners out there. All right, for you to get your project out there costs us nothing. And also we don't make any money anymore. Right?
We don't make any money from it.
We purposely make tools that are to enhance the experience of your users and to enhance your ability to serve your communities. That's what these tools do. like we are very community focused and community centric. So like if you're being toxic, we have zero incentive to actually help you get from point A to point B. Okay. We hold all the keys to the jail cell. You're just like literally like you're literally banging and calling us like, I don't know, like the worst things under the sun, like some of the vitriol we get for absolutely no reason. And I'm just like, like that really motivates me to help you. Oh yeah. Calling me an asshole. I literally just didn't respond for like 2 hours because I don't know. I have other calls.
I was eating lunch.
I have customer calls. I don't know. I'm like trying to, run a business, right? It's like I'm just telling y'all, like this is our public statement. Like the fact that you're not getting helped is because you're being rude. That's it. Yeah. And we're under no obligation to help you. Like that's just the thing. It's like
we want to deal with nice people. We want to help nice people succeed. That's kind of like the underlying tagline of Mintplex. We want nice people to succeed.
Yeah, because we also know that the people who are rude and aren't really, focused on helping, right, are the ones who have the least chance of succeeding in their project.
Well, how are you going to run a community with an attitude like that?
Exactly. If you're
going to get much more conflicting opinions than you will get from us. So
like you literally, there's a reason that like your project lives or dies by the way you treat your community.
Yeah.
And like even all of the projects that we've seen, even the worst ones, they at least had a solid community manager or at least a solid founding team that actually gave a shit about their community. Right. So
we already people like humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we already know the moment that you're an ass to us on our intercom chat, we know that there is no future for your project because you literally just don't care about another human being that you have no idea because you're trying to sell your project to other human beings on the internet. So if you treat us like that, it's like, dude, we know this isn't going to go anywhere and it's not worth our time.
I know that last little bit is just standing on our soapbox, but I'm sure if there's anybody else who listens to this that does like work on a NFT project or does run like a service in Web3, I am 100% confident that they are probably laughing at that bit right there because they're probably like, holy shit. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
This statement is for all of our fellow like builders out there. Like y'all know what we're talking about. It's like the most asinine shit, right? The most like vitriol for absolutely no reason. They get mad at us for nothing. It's like you haven't even launched
at 3 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah. Bro, I'm asleep. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not only are we like, it's just like, this isn't a tool. Like once again, right? It's a tool that expedites stuff. Like if your hammer isn't working, it's because you don't know how to use it. You don't call up your local Home Depot and be like, oh, hey, this hammer,
you gave me a stupid hammer.
You gave me a stupid hammer. It's like, no, dude. It's like we literally have all these things, and like if you understand the process, if you understand why you're doing your stuff, you will figure out your.
And we know, and we know it's complicated, which is why we're here to help. And once you do it once, you can do it 1,000 times without having to interface with us again. Yeah. But in order to learn it, it is a tedious process, and we are here to help. And we have the guides and YouTube and Intercom, but like. If you're being mean, we won't want to help you. That's it. End of story. We can stop it there. Yeah, but that's it. That's literally it. It's been, oh God, just the audacity of some people. I understand that's just what it's like. That's when you have a product like this, but just come on, people.
Well, yeah, no, it's once again, right? Like to top off the end of the year here. All right. Like the golden rule applies when we're doing our work. Okay. Like if you're being like straight up, like, an ass. Well, don't be surprised why we're being assholes back because you're literally like, so mean. Like, gosh, like, oh my God, like, especially these last 2 weeks, like in the holidays, it's like some people have been asking, like, just the most like weird, like it's very simple stuff and like not urgent because like every single project
possible.
Yeah, it's just like it's like why? It's like, yo, dude, I just got COVID. Like I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna like come out of my, my sickness and just be like, oh, I'm happy to help. It's like, no, you like literally just called me an ass 3 times for not responding to you within a 10-minute like period. It's like, dude, world does not revolve around you, and like the thing still works even if we're not around. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? The blockchain still functions even though we're not around. Like, oh my God, it's the craziest thing. It's like, that's why the blockchain is so great. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll end it with that.
Day in the life.
And like we're out here trying to service and help especially the ones that are amazing and kind, like, you know who you are. We love working with you guys.
The 95%.
Yeah, the 95%. Actually, like, majority of this space is just so awesome to work with.
Especially now, honestly.
Oh yeah. Oh, especially. Yeah. Oh, we get, like, despite the fact that, like, we are, like, you know, saying stuff, like, it's because for some reason we had just a huge volume of these really weird folks the last few weeks. But, like, we've been getting some amazing project builders and all that stuff in our space internationally, all over the world here. And so to the 95% of you that are great, we love you. Keep it up. We're here to help. The 5% of you that are, like, in our intercom chat.
Your New Year's resolution should be to be nicer.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, gosh, make the process easy for all of us. Like, it's like, we've had thousands of projects come through. It's not like your specific issue is, like, you know, you're unique.
Unique. It's not unique. It's not unique.
It's all the same. All the same. Yeah. So, but anyways, once again, as always, Tim, thank you so much for your time on these podcasts. Thank you all listeners out there for continuing to tune in to our spiels every week or so. As always, if you haven't followed us yet, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, if you're already watching this, you're already on YouTube. TikTok. Tim has been popping off on TikTok. Follow him at TKarambat. Also the same, you know, socials he uses. As well as the Mintplex NFT at Mintplex NFT. You'll find that on all our
once I figure out how TikTok works, I'll make more content for the Mintplex TikTok. The
Mintplex TikTok, that's a corporate TikTok. You know, we post on it when we can. TikTok. That's our corporate TikTok. All right. But anyways, thank you guys so much for the continued support. We're here to continue to build, and, you know, like, we truly believe in the blockchain and all the technology that's being built on it. So we'll be here for as long as we continue to believe in our mission. So we will talk to you all in the next one. Have a happy new year. And and we'll see you next year.
Alrighty.